Let's talk about bots. Bots are cool. We often talk about, how for developers that aren't customer friendly, you treat a customer like you treat your wife, okay? You want to give your wife a good experience. And I wrote this whole talk about customer experience because developers talk about DevOps all the time. And DevOps is about finding problems from the idea, the development, coding, the testing, deployment, and a bug or whatever is the problem in that journey and optimizing it. Marketing people, when you have a lot of meetings with them, they often talk about a term called customer experience, which it's their cool term like DevOps. And they're trying to find out from the first point that a customer sees your ad or something about your company, and then they make a phone call, they send an email, that experience, and then they ask for some information, they send an email, what that experience was like when they got it back. Did they have a positive impression of your company? Now I'll give my credit card for a trial, and what was that experience like? Now I'll buy the product. Oh, now I have a problem, and I tweet the company, and what's that experience like, etc. From beginning to when they stop being a customer in the end, when they don't want to use you anymore. They even measure when the person says, I don't want this Amex card anymore. What is that experience like? Because that can be turned into a bad situation as well. I always found it troublesome understanding what customer experience was because every marketing person I spoke to gave a different answer. So I kind of compiled it all together, and I made I think it's quite a long talk. It might be an hour and a half or 2 hours about customer experience. But I want to talk about this because there's these golden childs, and that's Airbnb and Uber and Tesla. They have the highest customer satisfaction ratings, and their customer experience lessons are what other companies try to follow. And there's a series of companies, Intercom, Zendesk, and a lot of others that are trying to own this space. They want to be the best company out there to improve your customer experience. But all these things cost a lot of money, and when it all comes down to it, deflected tickets is super important. A deflected ticket is something where you automatically answer something and you don't have to manually answer it. And obviously logic apps is one way of solving that. But when my kids are young millennials, I think they're called millennials, and they don't like calling up. TV's off. Oh. They don't like making phone calls for some reason. I don't know what their phone's for, but we have a little family meeting on Sundays and try and work out what they're doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday. Do you think you could ask, Sophie's dad whether he can pick you up, because then I won't have to pick you up. All right, I will text. Yeah, but I want to know right now because I'm going to find out because I don't want to wait for a text response. Dad, I can't call up someone. That's weird. I'm just going to send a text. And anyway, so when a youngster has a problem with their Amex, they don't want to call someone up. They don't like that experience. They would only call if it was an emergency. They want to text someone, or they want to get onto a site and type their problem, and they want someone to type back to them, etc. And obviously you can save a lot of, even in a company, Raj can't log into his account. He now has to talk to sysadmins and unlock my account, please, because it got locked somehow. It would be good if he could just maybe go to a bot and say, how do I unlock my account? I've forgotten. It would just ask him a question and unlock it, or give him a link to a page to go to unlock your account, okay? All that type of stuff is important. Even DHS, this is the, what does it stand for? It's the Unemployment Benefits. Department of Human Services. Oh, that's a nice name for getting the dole. But obviously, people go in there and ask the same questions all the time, probably. Now, I can guess, when do I get my money? Might be a common question. Okay? why was it only $200 when it should be $250? You know, these type of questions. And so they installed this, there's an article here about how they installed this bot, which is kind of a physical robot, and you can go in and then ask it a question. When do I get my money? And they'll say, it'll be on Wednesday, you know. Why was it $200? Well, you know, break it down. All the common questions, they answer it. How do I reset my password? All that type of stuff. So a bot is just an app that users interact with in a conversational way. All right? So it's just an app that people converse with. This is an example. On an insurance site, hi, how can I help you? Well, what can you do? I can help you with all your insurance needs, whether you're in the market for a new auto or home policy, needing to make a claim. So it's telling you all the things it can do. All right, now I've got a clue. For example, I should, do I have my Teams open? I don't, but I should, just to show you. And also, what I should do is I should show what a Google bot is like. Let's go to YouTube. What that Google
the hairdresser.
Bot. Yes,
hairdressing
thank you.
Conversation.
Hairdresser.
The
Google
assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. How many people saw this guy?
Yeah. That's it.
How many people have seen it? Only less than a quarter. So I think it's worth showing. So here is Google Assistant. Google just announced this.
Calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
This is a real call.
Oh, how can I help you?
It's a real person.
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now? Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's your first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks, great. Have a great day. Bye.
All right. That is a calling bot. Thoughts? All right. I am totally uncool with that. I don't see, like, obviously it's clever. That's useful. But I think that type of stuff is unhelpful. I think it's better to let you know you're talking to a bot, so you don't act like an idiot. And also, you'll talk to a bot differently, because just like you talk to a search engine, you put keywords in certain ways, you know what you're dealing with. You know, you would probably be a bit nicer if you're typing search strings in that a person is actually reading and giving you results back. If I get onto if people go to the SSW site and start typing, they're really talking with Penny. But obviously, at certain points, if you search for something after hours and you want to know something, it can search your knowledge base and answer the person. But it's better to say, hey, I'm a bot, how can I help you? And then you'll try, it's not fun to be switched later on. But anyway, how you deal with these bots is going to be important. Listen to this one. Our estimate is that by 2020, we will speak to chatbots more than we speak to our spouses. And that is from the Gartner. So that's very respected research, and that is where we're heading. So you really need to have bots on your site. I would introduce a bot as a bot so people aren't tricked. People will modify the way they speak, give your bots a personality, and people try to make a bot do everything, but it's better if you have a bot for your CRM stuff, and then your bot for maybe your BI stuff. You might have different bots in your organization. I am just going to quickly show you a real bot in our company. Well, there we go. So here we go. So I could say,
Who is in Sydney?
all right, who is in Sydney? I could say, well, let's see who's here. Let's just say I'm out of here. Okay, there's 9 people. Actually, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people. Who knows React of those guys? These guys know React. Those guys know React. All right, I can run and ask one. Or I could say, who's here? Just show me everyone here. So, oh, it's ordering those. Okay. Context. Who is in Sydney? I want the whole lot. And that's who. And they go show all. I could click show all and I'll see a whole list of them. And there we go. Oh, we've got a visitor from Melbourne, William. Okay. And then I could say...
Who is Adam?
all right, who is Adam? Oh.
That's a good one.
There's more than one Adam. Which one? Oh, Adam Stevenson or me? And there we go. If you want to know more about Adam, they'll click off on that site, take me to a website. You know, what are the skills of Adam? So Adam Stevenson isn't in. And they're the skills that I know, etc. So
What if you do typo?
what
What if you type this typo?
what if I do a typo? Who is Adam? There is a nice typo. Well, that seems to be a bug.
I can explain.
Yes, of course, I can report that bug. I remember the very first search I did was who is in Melbourne, and I put a space question mark like that. Sometimes I do that. I don't know why I do that, and it screwed it up. And then I reported it, and then they fixed it. So it's just like anything normal. And that is another best practice. When you first start using the bot, it should say, look, if there's any bugs, report it to this Zendesk ticket or report it to this email address or use this terminology, bug : whatever, and it will just do it inside the app. But yes, you need a nice way of telling them how to search for that, how to submit stuff. Okay, so here is the scenario. We're using bots. We've saved 90% of our tickets. Can we do any better than that? Our support team still has too much things to do. There's too many people saying, hey, how do I change my password? We need it to interact with our backend services efficiently. 90% of all the questions that, of that 10%, 90% of those are pretty repetitive. So if that's the case, we could deflect more. Let's deflect more. Well, the best thing that you can do is have an FAQ, all right? Which is question, answer, and store that somewhere. It could be in a SharePoint list. You could have a Zendesk, we use a Zendesk KB. You can make your own KB. You can make a PDF document. Any of this stuff can be indexed by this stuff. So you've got to have much less stuff in emails and have that stuff somewhere else so that you can use it. You got to get more stuff published, put it in an FAQ. Microsoft are doing the right thing with docs.microsoft. We have help.ssw. So put it in tickets somehow. All right, so this can be anywhere and bots can index this and turn this into pretty intelligent stuff. All right, Will, take us through.
Cool. Let's create a Q&A bot. So there's Adam Stevenson, who's putting a lot of work into working with bots. And so he's got a nice FAQ that explains quite a lot about bots. So you can see here is sort of a question and answer type document. So we're going to use this to create...
I'll just show one so that you can search it later.
So let's see. Can I see good demos? So we'll remember this question, and we can see that there's a few options. So what we need to do You start off by going to the qnamaker.ai website. And once it opens, we use this site to create a knowledge base. And I think, Adam, you might have to log in for us. Oh, no. Oh, it's already picked me up. Cool. Must be a bot behind this. Okay, so I want to create a knowledge base. But what we need is to have a Q&A service first. So just like the text analytics services, we have to create a Q&A service. So if we click this, it'll shoot us over to the Azure portal. And we need to supply a few bits of information. All right. So we want to call this our Sydney bot. Bot. I'll just change it to my subscription and change the location. Oh, there's only one location available. We want to choose a free pricing tier, and let's put it in our Sydney resource group. So now we have to select the Azure search tier. So we're just going to choose the free tier for now, and that will be in Australia East, and we're going to call our app the Sydney bot. So we can also enable app insights, and that'll be useful for preemptively monitoring the kinds of questions that are asked of our bot and which ones it can or can't answer properly. So you can use it as a metric, just how you would monitor traffic to your site for 500 errors and so forth. You can monitor your bot for bad questions or ones it doesn't have answers to, and then fill in more information into your knowledge base. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Create. And it's also worth noting that you can automate the creation of bot services or the cognitive services as well using the ARM templates. All right. So here we can see it's just another resource that's busy being provisioned to our resource group. And so if we just come back here for a moment, we're going to need to just supply a few bits of information to connect to our Q&A service. Then we also need to just name and populate our knowledge bases. And the knowledge base is a link to your data. So this knowledge, this markdown file for bots, but it could be a PDF, it could be other websites, it could be just text documents that sits on a storage account, anywhere that it is accessible. And the Q&A maker will go and index this data and put it into Azure Search, so that once we write a query to our bot, it then tries to understand what we're asking and looks in the knowledge base to find the matching information and then return that back to us. So let's see how far the deployment is. All right, it is complete. So we come back here. Just want to refresh this section of the page. Yeah, this should refresh the section, not this page. That's a bit misleading. All right, so I choose my subscription and my Sydney bot Q&A service. So we just want to call it Sydney bot KB. And then the URL that we copied earlier. Oh, this one here. There we go. You can actually add multiple URLs, which is nice. Or actual links to file names.
Which could be a PDF.
Correct, yeah. Now, just like in our slides, how we mentioned you can add some personality to your bot, you can add a new feature that's called chit chat. So, do you want the professional, the friend, the comic? Let's do it. All right, so all we do, create your KB, create your knowledge base. So this might take a minute or so while it sort of looks at our content, analyzes it, indexes it, puts it into our Azure Search resource, and then we're going to try and test our bot. So let's just go back and see what kind of questions can we ask. Can we see some good demos? Can I find documentation? Let's go down a little bit further. Password reset. Okay. How do I do a password reset bot? That'll be an interesting question. Oh, right. So our knowledge base has been created. And you can see here it's sort of picked up what the questions are, possible answers, and this goes on and on. You know, there's quite a lot of information that we've loaded into this bot. So let's just test it. And we're going to ask the bot, what is a good place to learn about bots? Okay, whoops. So yeah, we can see the bot responded with some output here. A bot is an app that users interact with in a conversational way. I think it might have misunderstood my question. And that does happen. So let's see, what was another question we could ask?
What's a good demo?
What's a good demo? Oops. Ah, so here's three demo bots that it knows about and points us to. So you can actually see that we can inspect the questions that we ask our bot and see the information that it returns back and our confidence score of what it thinks we asked. So I think if we click on this first one, it was only 47% sure about what I asked it. So there's some good information to have when you're writing your application, so that it shouldn't just respond with rubbish. It should actually have, you check for what sort of confidence level you have. If you have, say, above 70%, that should be very close or high confidence for it to know that it can answer your question. Maybe then it should say, if it's less than 70%, sorry, please ask your question again, so that you can give it a better question.
And an obvious thing that will probably be recorded is you'll probably record the rate, the confidence level of each question you ask the bot, and then people in the organisation that have really high, success rates when talking to bots, and people that have low ones, you'll share tips on how you ask it. You've got to look at good examples and bad examples, and I think we'll all end up being better at talking to bots. That's why I think it's not helpful to be tricked when you're talking to a real person versus a bot.
Yeah, that is correct. So actually I can show off the chit chat function. So hi there, bot. Hey, what can you do? So yeah,
where's its comedy? I'm not seeing any comedy here.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, sexy.
Oh, how many humans does it take to screw in a light bulb? One. Right. Okay. Not very funny.
You laughed.
It's right. That shouldn't be funny. All right. So now we have a Q&A bot. It's very simple to set up. You can feed it a lot of information, but yeah, you do need to train it a little bit more, and we need to do that ALI testing to make sure we don't respond with something that the bot itself is not even comfortable answering. So, cool. So let's just recap what we did. We went to the Q&A-maker.ai site. We created a knowledge base.
Oh, by the way, that site was created by Microsoft Research.
Oh yes, so the Q&A Maker site was created by Microsoft Research. All right. So we created a knowledge base, we created our Q&A service, and we just basically connect them up and provide the information required. Click Create, and this is what it looked like. Create a knowledge base, create a Q&A service. We filled in our usual bits of information, chose the free tier for both the management pricing and the search pricing. Made sure it was in Australia East, just gave it a name, and click Create. We then connected our Q&A bot to the knowledge base, selected the service, give it a name, paste in our URL, it indexed it for us, took a moment, and done. So we can then go ahead and test our bot, asking it some questions. Cool.
Great. And so, from that point, you have a bot, and you can embed that how you want it. You can put it as a part on your website. You could make it so that you have an SMS gateway, so you text it a question and it texts you back the answer. You could make it, put it on WeChat, so it works there as well. add some language translations and stuff like that. Yeah, bots go everywhere and can help you everywhere. So everyone is getting in this space. It's the best way to improve your customer experience and reduce costs at the same time. It does both, so that's why it's so important. Your KB is the focus of your bot, so you've got to work out how to get stuff out of places that you're not going to be able to use to make your bot smarter, such as emails and phone calls and stuff. All right, and there's so many other bots out there. There's a lot of services. Microsoft have announced how much they're doing in the healthcare space. Microsoft want to own the story when you're crook and you want to ask the bot, hey, I got a pain in the side of my stomach, you know. It will say, give me a rating out of 10 how serious it is. How long's it been there? What happens when you lean forward? And then it will say, you know, you have cancer, whatever.
Serious.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that's the type of...
Just wondering, can this bot, like this particular in Azure one, can it kind of learn as you go? Like, for example, like, did it help, you know, did this answer, was it answer correct, and based on the result, kind of adapt the model? Like,
Okay, so the question was, can the bot train itself, basically? Yes, so you can actually, it's a bit more complicated setup, but you can have it to monitor the app insights, and once it then, it can ask your user, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that, can you actually give me the answer? Or if you can find the answer somehow from the user, and remember that, and build up the association with that question. So you can definitely let the bot train itself, but human training usually is a bit more effective. So, but you can use all the same tools. It's all available in App Insights and the cognitive services itself. Yeah.
Awesome. I think the most important thing to know is when the bot doesn't answer your question, you must fail over to a real person. So in summary, we give this award, the Finally Someone Can Understand Me award, okay? And I Googled about Donald Trump using bots, and he's been using them a lot, a heap. Almost 500,000 times he's been using bots, and I'm not sure if he uses Azure, but if he is, he might be one of their good customers.